You're listening to Brainwork Framework, a business and marketing podcast, brought to you by focus-biz.com.
Business owners and entrepreneurs, building your own personal brand is essential towards your long-term growth strategy. With us today is a 25 plus year prominent career and business coach, a best-selling author in 13 different languages, a sought-after speaker, and she's also been a TV personality on popular shows like Oprah. Have you heard of it? You Get a Car, You Get a Car. Well, today she's going to share with us a lot of these tips and tricks for those who are on a career path, those who are solopreneurs looking to become a remarkable brand, and just the ways we can uncover our passion and our purpose within our business and our life. With me today is career coach and consultant Laura Berman Fortgang. Laura, thanks so much for joining us today. How are you?
I am good. Thanks, Chris. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So excited to dive into some of these topics that you wanted to talk about. I'd love to first start off with what got you into this trajectory that you're in today doing the career coaching and consulting. What was your past experience?
Well, that's a good question. I started out my professional life as an actor. I wanted to be on Broadway, do musical theater, and I didn't know where that would lead in terms of it ending up where I am now. I had no clue that this is where I would end up. But if I look at what being an entrepreneur actor gave me, I had to face rejection all the time. I had to throw spaghetti at the wall and figure out what was going to work. I had to be flexible. I had to create a brand for myself. What was my type? How am I castable? So little did I know that I was learning everything I needed to be in business for myself. So when I got disillusioned with the lifestyle, I was sick of being a waitress and only working as an actor half the year. I thought, oh, I could do this another 10 years and not be anywhere different. So I just happened to think of an old mentor of mine, and he had become a coach, and he said he could help me figure out what else I could do. And I started training people in presentation skills because that's kind of actors get in front of people, not afraid. But then I soon realized, no. There's something that my coach does that I want to do with other people. So I was one of the first people officially trained in the US to be a coach. And I helped start the International Coaching Federation, which credentials coaches and coaching schools. So really a magical trajectory. Like the irony is I did more TV, magazines, and publicity after I became a coach than I ever did as an actor. So and I learned how to be comfortable with that. So it's been a fascinating ride and it ain't over yet.
Isn't it crazy how just things kind of work themselves out in a way where you originally wanted to do more acting and then you ended up going a career route that allowed you to do more acting, almost in a sense when we're speaking with prospects or leads or other business owners, we're almost kind of being on stage. We have to turn that personality on. Some for us, it's natural like you, but for us, we have to act like we're going on stage. Now, how does our personal brand play a role in our career and our business? Why is branding so important?
Well, branding isn't a slogan. It's not like some cute advertisement. It's really a feeling. It's like if you think of Starbucks, like I don't even like Starbucks coffee. I don't. But I will go into a Starbucks because they've created an atmosphere, they've created a business model, they have cool products, and I'm not even a fan of their coffee. It's ridiculous. But that's how strong a brand can be, right? It's a feeling when you think of like when I got these red glasses, I was worried about being compared to a very old talk show host. I don't know. You're young. You may not have heard of Sally Jesse Raphael.
Uh-huh.
And she wore red glasses and I was terrified. Like, I don't want anyone to to call me that. And it's happened a couple of times where people do remember her. But it's a brand, right? It's something memorable. It's something that makes you think, oh, maybe vivacious and takes risks and funny. So a brand is a feeling more than it is a slogan or an advertisement. And it's important for your company or yourself to have this brand. When people say it's very on brand or it's off brand for us, it's really just, does it align with you? Does it align with your values? Does it align with a consistent message that you want to be sending out there? And some people fall on it by accident, right?
Absolutely. Something that you mentioned that I think is really important is the fact that you don't even use Starbucks products, but you love the brand that's behind Starbucks in a sense. And I think that's relatable to a fact that I heard that 80% of people, if they go into a restaurant, if they have a bad experience with the food, but good customer service, they're willing to come back and give it another shot. But if the customer service is terrible, I relate that to the brand. What feeling do you get? What perception do you have? They're not going to come back. So I think it's really important just to emphasize the importance of that branding, the feeling, the perception that you give off to others and what they perceive about you as well.
Right. And as they say, perception is reality. So how you're perceived is the reality that it creates. And I talked to a lot of business owners who started out as a solopreneur. They're doing everything themselves. And then maybe they've scaled that business or they're working with me to make it bigger. And when we talk about going from like a solopreneur to a sensational brand, it's that people start talking about you. There's an experience that they've had, not just testimonials, but they've touched your product. And I remember way back when I used to have like an answering service that answered my phone for me. And I would tell them, listen, I'm in self help. The brand is self help. Like no one gets off that phone with you without being helped. Doesn't mean that you have the answer, but you know where to get the answer. You're going to get back to them with the answer. That's creating that feeling or creating that warmth. I remember when my kids were little, like I was shopping for a pediatrician, I walked into an office and the receptionist was so rude that I didn't even want to meet the doctor. I was like, if he can tolerate someone representing him at the front desk who is rude and not welcoming into their office, then I don't even want to meet the doctor. I don't care. That's how important like the feeling is, the brand is. And it doesn't mean you have to spend a lot of money on branding with the right colors and the right logo and the right website. It's really an intent. And I think that's important for people to hear.
Absolutely. People need to focus on the feeling that people are getting from the perception. No lie, Laura. I used to work at a Starbucks and the boss there literally said perception shapes reality. It's not so much what the actual situation is, it's what people perceive of that. So if they see whatever it is, that's a different issue. Now, when it comes to people who are building a career or a business, we're doing a lot of goal setting, and that usually revolves around our passion, our purpose, the why behind what we do. Can you take us through how we can figure out what our passion and purpose is and how we can take action from that?
Sure. Do you have a few hours?
Let's get into it. Let's go.
No, I mean, this is my favorite topic to talk about is purpose. And when people say, like, I don't know what my passion is, let's make a distinction between passion and purpose. Like, purpose to me is just what you're built to do. There's just something about you that is naturally there, except if you're going to fly an airplane or do surgery, you probably don't even need to be trained to do. It's just there. And then passion is something that you're passionate about. Like when people say, I don't know what my passion is, there's no one thing that's your passion. You have to become a passionate person. And there's something that's going to get your attention that you can be passionate about. But I think passion and purpose, they can work together, but they're two distinct things. And I help people find their purpose with 4 questions, which I'm happy to share with you. But let me first put this into a story form so it makes sense. I remember one time speaking somewhere about this, and a woman stood up and said, I want to have a Mother Teresa level of purpose. And I was like, okay. So I said to her, start with your cat, like be Mother Teresa to your pet, to yourself, to the people in your world. Like Mother Teresa did not wake up one day and say, hey, if I help sick people and it's going to catch on and there's going to be all these churches all around, Europe in my name, and I'm going to be a saint one day. Like it wasn't a plan. It that she found a sick person in the street and could not bear that they would die alone in the gutter. So she took them in, right? So it's really purpose is like what you're built to do. It's not, again, not branding, and it's not a slogan, and it's not this thing that you build. So something that might help people is if we use the words vision, mission, and purpose, because sometimes they're used interchangeably, but I want to give context to that. Like think vision is eyes, what you see as possible. Mission is hands, what you're going to do about it. Like I see that it's possible that everyone on the planet is a coach. That doesn't mean they're all going to become professional coaches. So what's my mission? My mission is to make things simple and learnable and write books and create products and do things that bring it out into the world. And why me? So eyes, vision, hands, mission, heart is purpose. Because I cause change. Like that's just what I do. Like you do not get in my life without something changing. It might be your hair, but you're going to change something. For some reason, when I interact with people, they either get mad and they want to do something about something, or they want to change something because they became passionate about something. So purpose is innate, and everyone on this planet has a purpose. Anyone who's listening that's like, I don't have a purpose. It's not true. You just haven't touched base with it yet. You want purpose? Go to somebody's funeral and you hear how they touched other people's lives because everyone's going to say something nice. Even if that person was a really tough person to get along with, they might say, they taught me how to be resilient. They taught me how to fight back. So there's purpose. Purpose is your ripple effect. What do you cause in the world? Right? So when you worked at Starbucks, you may not have felt like you were living your grand purpose. But if you were kind to people and you made the job fun, that was purposeful.
That absolutely was. That's how I felt in that position. I was like, this is just a stepping stone. As long as I can have fun interactions, give something back in some sort of way, I'm sure I'll figure it out along the way. And I think a lot of us struggle with that. I mean, I'm 34. So just throughout life, we kind of go through these struggles with what's my purpose? What do I want to do? Is this one career path that I'm picking at 20 going to be my lifelong venture? But I think we can all kind of change our trajectory at any point and then refine that purpose or the passion, something that leads us to our goals. And for you, what was that defining moment when you went, I don't want to do the acting, that coach consulting, you were seeing what they were doing. How did that come about?
I still loved performing. But like I said, I didn't want the lifestyle. I didn't want to always have to be worried about where the next job was coming from. I hadn't gotten to a point where I had made it, where I didn't have to think about it anymore. However, I discovered in hindsight, okay, after I'd been a coach for 10 years, I realized, wait a minute, what I really wanted out of being an actor wasn't the applause, wasn't like how being fun and different and, quirky. It was when you get to do a play that moves people in the audience, that makes them feel something, that makes them think, that makes them cry or makes them laugh. That was the impact that I wanted to have. I wanted to cause change from the stage. And so if you look at it, I still do the same thing. I just changed the sandbox I was playing in. So instead of the hard sandbox of theater and, oh, was my nose straight enough? Do they not like someone with curly hair? There are a million dumb reasons why you're not cast. I had more control as the coach consultant, even though I started when no one knew what it was. And nowadays people are like, coaches complain that there's too many of us and it's a saturated market. But I never lost sight of the fact that I'm here to cause change for the better. So when you can name that thing that's a constant in you, you'll see that you'll evolve into many iterations of it. I've run for office. I've been a leader of organizations, still kept my coach hat, but you find new vehicles, I call them, to run your purpose through. But the purpose is ultimately the same. It's in you. It's already in you.
And the purpose can have many different subcategories of that, different vehicles, different channels that you're trying to achieve that one end goal.
Exactly. So sometimes a sense of purpose may come from a tragedy. Let's say someone who's like, because my child choked on a toy and passed away, tragedy. I'm now going to be an advocate for changing manufacturers' specifications so this never happens to another family, right? So you hear those stories of people who found great purpose out of tragedy. And that's not the only way, obviously, it's one way. But why them? Because they were ultimately didn't even recognize perhaps that they had this fight in them, right? So there's a lot of recovering attorneys out there. Some of them may be listening who now have a business or trying to change careers. And people get into the law for all different reasons. But when they're trying to get out of doing law, we still look for like, oh, hey, look, you got into it because you're probably highly analytical. Maybe you have performance skills if you're a trial lawyer. You're probably good at arguing, good at creating a strong case about something. Now use that for something else. Where else can that live? Where else can you put that? What other vehicle can it be in? So it's not that we're ever one thing, but we do each have like this spark in us that I think helping people uncover that informs what their next step would be. So I'm sitting here talking to our listeners today as someone who help people figure out what to do with their life. But along the way, one of those things they want to do with their life is start a business. So I also work with business owners to grow their service-based businesses. So I have my feet in two worlds, but one was caused by the other. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And there's a lot of value to be given to both sides of that, whether within the personal side or the business side. A lot of those things, it still covers your passion, your purpose, the things that you're looking to do, and how you can help change people. And it's just a different channel that you're kind of going with. You mentioned the service-based business portion. What sort of foundations do we need for service-based businesses? Is this the lead attraction? Is this the service and follow through?
It's all of the above, especially if you're starting out as a solopreneur, you don't have a partner in it, or you don't have a huge budget to have a staff. You're doing everything. You're doing the accounting, you're looking for the leads, you're closing the leads, you're the sales team, the marketing team, the advertising team, and then you're delivering the service. And a part of why so many of those kind of businesses don't make it is because we loved the thing that got us into business, like coaching or knitting or being a barista, but you didn't love the managing of everything that comes with it. And it really does take like a crazy multitasking ability to be able to be that solopreneur. And then hopefully you start making enough money that you can afford the assistant, and then maybe you can afford the salesperson, and then you can afford your social media person. These are great moments in the life of an entrepreneur. But a service-based business, you're trading dollars for hours, right? You're consulting or you're offering a service of some kind. So at some point, you have to scale to make big money. And that is a whole adventure in its own, but very doable, right?
Yes.
And I've had a line of credit in my business, but I've never borrowed money to grow my business. It's always been an organic make the money, invest the money in the next level of growth, and make the money and invest in the next level of growth. And that's where a lot of solopreneurs get hung up. And like they can't get to that scaling level because they may not trust other people to be in their business, or they don't know where to go to get that service covered, or which other thing to delegate. So I'm always asking my solopreneurs as they're ready to scale, like, look at all the things you hate doing. First of all, those are the first that need to go. And then what are the things that don't use your special sauce? Like there's this special thing that you do and you want to spend your time doing that. And I don't work a 40-hour work week. Maybe it's 20. I don't even know. But I always play the game of like, how do I make more doing less? And that's not to cheat anybody or to not give great service. That's just the game I play as an entrepreneur is how do I keep growing and investing in my business in a way that less of it is on me and more of it's on the team, so to speak.
Everything you said is a 1000% on point. This balance between the time and money, when we're solopreneurs, we generally have more time than money. And it's important that we make the right calculated risks and investments when it comes to the growth portion, because some people get so hung up in the idea, they're willing to borrow money, they're writing checks that they can't cash ultimately. And it's smart to want to play it organically, where you're actually funding your own growth. So that way you're not in debt with this business venture. What if it changes directions? All these different factors that kind of go into that. And then, like you said, later on, you have more money. Now you can start delegating tasks, figuring out what you don't like doing, what pieces that you need to touch in each piece of your business. Otherwise, you can delegate that to someone else. But it's always that toss up. But those growing pains are such an incredible part of the journey. Some of us get there sooner than later. It's at a different magnitude than the others, but it's such an incredible journey to have to take those risks. And I'm sure you kind of coach that within the team. Are there any success stories of going from the solopreneur into growing their team and now they're making more money than they ever imagined?
Sure. And it's just an interesting balance too. It's like, if you want to grow yourself as a human being, start a business. The biggest sandbox for personal development, right? You're up against your own stuff. Even in delegating to other people, we've got to learn how to manage people and how to be in relationship with other people. I work with business owners of all sizes, and I'm working with somebody right now who has a very special skill in the real estate world, and it's not selling houses. It's around condos. And they can only do so many contracts and be involved in so many things. So it's training a person to come on board so that they can start delegating, training the second person to come on board so that they can delegate to that person. And now they need a receptionist in order to help all those appointments and all those things that are going to go on. And so that's how she grew her business from under six figures to multiple six figures, was by slowly building a team and being able to offer more services to more people. You always want to make sure you have those protections in there, right? Because it's easy for someone to walk off with your whole business. So contracts and clear agreements are very important. I don't believe in handshake entrepreneurship. You got to have clear agreements in writing.
Absolutely. As much as we would like to put our full faith and trust in others to act the same or similar to the way that we act, it's not exactly the same. Got to make sure you protect yourself, and it's good for the protection of everyone involved. Sometimes we learn that the hard way. Sometimes we have great coaches and consultants to tell us that before we make those mistakes.
Yes. And that's why a coach is worth the investment. I will say that. If it
Absolutely.
saves you pitfalls and challenges and they know how to get you around the potholes, it's really good.
Oh, absolutely. Something that resonated with me is just that struggle and challenge because you're wearing so many hats as an entrepreneur. Sometimes we can get caught up in the day-to-day tasks that us as the visionary CEO, entrepreneur, we can't take a big picture look and then be able to delegate out as we try to grow. And it just becomes a little bit overwhelming. What are some ways that we don't lose sight of that passion and that purpose and still stick with the goals? It's such a challenge because they're doing tasks that they don't want to do. And at the end of the day, they may get discouraged. Is there a way to keep us motivated through the struggle of entrepreneurship?
Well, Michael Gerber wrote a book called The E-Myth. It's an old book, but he said in that case, he talks about most businesses fail within 5 years, not only because you stop doing the thing that you love because you're managing the business, but we only work in the business and not on the business. So working in the business is every day being in emergency mode with tasks and never taking time to stop and have executive think time, right? So working on the business is taking time out. It can be an hour a week, but just looking at your organizational chart, looking at who's doing what job. Is everybody doing their job description? Is there somebody we need to hire or fire? And it's like hire slowly and fire quickly, because the longer you have someone in your business who's not doing their job, it can be like a bad apple and spoils the whole basket, right?
Mhm.
So it's really a matter of making sure you mind your business, like you're working on it and not just in it. And literally, it can take just an hour a week, but you have to take that time out and sort of go to the top of the mountain and look at the activities instead of just being right up against it and not being able to see what's what.
Absolutely. For those of us who want the benefits of a coach and a consultant within our business, what does that process look like for you throughout the journey from that initial call until working through the process? What does that look like in your consultancy?
Well, I always want people to find the best coach for them, meaning like talk to at least three people, get recommendations from people. And you want to find somebody who you have rapport with, but who you also think can do the job. But you have to define what that job is, right? Let's make a distinction between coaching and consulting. Like a coach is going to ask you tough questions and challenge you. And I've worked with thousands of people, no exaggeration. So I use the wisdom that I've learned from all these other people to help you get ahead, but it's not my job to tell you what to do. A consultant's going to tell you what to do. They're going to say, I know better. I've done it 1,000 times. And this is what you need to do to get your business in order. And some people really just want to be told what to do. But I like to paint a picture of coaching. Like, have you ever told a friend they asked for advice, you told them a great idea. They're like, that's a great idea. And then they don't do it. And then 6 months later, they come back and they go, oh, I've got a great idea. And it's the one that you gave to them. All right. So that's why I don't like to tell people what to do. And when you coach somebody, they come up with their own answer. And people are more likely to do the thing that they came up with themselves, right? You may get them there as a coach, but you didn't tell them what to do. And it's more organic. Like the more organic it is, the more likely you are to do it. So the process of getting and finding a coach, find somebody you have a rapport with who can do the job. Like I said, you have to be specific about what that job is. Like, what is the vision of what success is? Is it a certain revenue number that you want to reach? Is it, I want to be a different kind of leader who doesn't fight so much with people? I want to figure out a way that I could write a book this year and try to delegate everything else in my business so I have the time to do that. Having a clear focus as to what the outcome is going to be of coaching really helps find the right coach for you.
Nice. Brilliant advice. I want to make sure that people do their due
Due
diligence.
diligence.
Yes. Get the research done. Make sure, as with any product, tool, service, whatever it is you get, make sure you do your research. Now, has there been one single commonality between all the people that you've worked with that this is typically the one thing that people are struggling with the most?
That's such a good question. It sounds counterintuitive to our conversation about business building, but I just find that people want their life to have meaning and impact, and they want to be happy with it. Not happy flying off the handle happy, but satisfaction. So many people find life satisfaction through entrepreneurship. It's challenging. You may work more than you would if you had a job, but it's yours. You're learning, you're growing, you're not being stifled in any way. So I think that the commonality is just people want to be on this journey of meaning and purpose. And it comes down to reinventing themselves. And even for those people that are more corporate minded and want to work in a job, nothing wrong with that, but the happier you'll be is in direct correlation to how meaningful it is to you. So many people talk about, oh, but the pay is so good and I don't want to leave, but I hate my life. All right. Like, how much happiness can you buy when you hate your life? I don't know.
Hmm. Not a lot. I mean, sure, you can buy a second yacht, but still, there's limitations to it. And again, if you don't have that purpose, that drive within you, that self fulfillment, what is it all for if you're not happy? That happiness, if you can't find it, you have to do something about it.
Right. I have a TEDx talk with almost 2 million views, and I talk about my grandfather, who was an immigrant who came to this country and he had a trade. He was a butcher and he did well. But if he heard it that his granddaughter goes and helps people be happy at work, it's like happy was putting food on the table, you know? So the generations have evolved in the sense that once your family had stability, then people want more and they want meaning is the next step. And we all create meaning in very different ways. So it's your own question to answer, but that's a fun game to play.
It absolutely is. Now, everything that you're talking about sounds incredible. I mean, you're accomplished, you know what you're doing, great branding behind everything. Where can others find out more about you and what you're doing?
Well, if you remember my three-worded name, Laura Berman Fortgang, just add a .com after that and you can find me. And even if you only remember Laura Berman and you go and Google me, you'll find me or the sex doctor, and I'm not her. So there you go.
The other one.
The other one, Dr. Laura Berman, the other one. I've been getting messages and emails from her, from people who are trying to reach her since the 90s.
Now, was that the very nice woman who was on the talk show late at night? Is that her?
She and her sister used to do a talk show late at night. Oh no, are you talking about Dr. Laura Schlesinger? That's another one. No, I've never compared to her.
I'm mixing up my sex doctors. I'm sorry, I got it.
Yeah. Now we're giving a great commercial. Dr. Laura Berman is a sex doctor. She was on Oprah. Dr. Laura Schlesinger had a radio show. I don't know if she's still with us on the planet. And I am not a doctor. I'm Laura Berman Fortgang, and you can find me at laurabermanfortgang.com.
That is fantastic. Laura, now tell me, is there a new book, a new video series, podcast, anything that you found that's been super helpful in your journey that you want to share with others?
Well, it may not be new, but let's see. Well, this could be controversial because she's running for president. But if you read Marianne Williamson's first book, anyone, A Return to Love, those people looking for passion and purpose, it would blow your mind as to for personal development. So that's not new, but A Return
Hey,
to Love is a great book. And you know what I listen to for fun? Podcast. Oh my God, I have to make sure I say it right. Is it Smartless? Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and the third guy whose name I'm at. Yeah, Smartless. It is a great podcast. They just trying to find themselves through their podcast guests is quite the fun journey.
I love it. I say any form of content, you either have to educate or you entertain. And if you can do a little bit of both, you have a really winning strategy.
Exactly. And I have a free download for all of you. So if you're curious on how to go from solopreneur to sensational brand, check the show notes and we'll have that for you.
I love it. Laura, thank you so much for joining us and sharing your expertise and your journey with us. I hope everyone listening can find something that they can take with them and take action on. Most importantly, learning is one thing, action and doing is another thing. So make sure you take action and make sure you check out the show notes and visit Laura on her LinkedIn website and make sure you take care of the special offer there as well. Thank you so much, Laura, for joining us. I appreciate it. Hope you have a good rest of your week and congratulations on all your success and a great 2024.
You too. Thanks, Chris. Nice to meet you.
Same here. Thank you.